right, I'm going to play some videos that I recorded, which has made the ones I made, some of them, irrelevant because the WBD bidding war seems to have reached its conclusion, at least as far as who's going to actually merge. And spoiler, that's Paramount. You know, they want it. So I'll give my commentary as I draw pictures whilst the video is playing. So won't that be nice? I think so. I mean, it's what I'm going to do. So, well, let's get this set up. I gotta put it there. And I wonder...
What is that? You know, I mean, all there is
to it. There it goes. So there you are. Let me start over. Barring anything weird, strange things happening. It can, I don't know what, but I think for now, this is it. Paramount wins. It shouldn't have started. Well, it's time now for another episode of WBD Bidding War, and it looks like it's over. Yep. It's funny how things can change very quickly. But it's been a kind of a long saga, We've been following Warner Brothers all along because, DC fan and all that. And here we are, and I'll go through these articles that lay out what has just recently occurred. And it really was the only outcome, barring shenanigans, based on just my, admittedly layman's view of the deals on the table. Paramount was the better deal. So anyway, WBD declares Paramount's $31 bid a superior proposal. Netflix has 4 days to match. Well, hey, I won't spoil the ending, but they've already decided. So Warner Brothers Discovery has officially determined that Paramount Skydash's revised $31 per share offer constitutes a company superior proposal. Yes. Gee, what do you think they'll decide? It's obvious. 2 + 2 always equals 4. Escalating the battle for control of the media giant and triggering Netflix's 4 business day match period. The announcement marks a major shift from earlier in the week when the board said the proposal could reasonably lead to a superior offer. Now, WBD has formally made that determination. David Ellison, chairman and CEO of Paramount, said in response, "We are pleased. WBD's board has unanimously affirmed the superior value of our offer, which delivers to WBD shareholders superior value, certainly, and speed to closing." Oh, certainty and speed to closing, sorry. But yes, the shareholder, there has to have been some backlash. Hey, wait, what the hell's this? So, yeah, they noticed. So the board had no other choice. They really didn't. So, of course, Netflix walks away. We will get to that article in a minute. So the revised Paramount Skydash proposal values WBD at $31 per share in cash. The offer also includes a daily ticking fee of 25 cents per share per quarter beginning after September 30th, 2026. Additional protections, the $7 billion regulatory termination fee if the deal fails the regulatory issues, payment of the $2.8 billion breakup fee with WBD over Netflix. And, just don't worry, we'll cover that. You can get out of the deal. So there was no way out of this. They covered all the exits, And a commitment from Larry J. Ellison and an associated trust to prove additional equity funding if required by lenders. The proposal also adjusts the definition of company material adverse effect to exclude the performance of WBD's global linear network segment. WBD has notified Netflix of its determination, formally triggering a 4-business-day window during which Netflix can propose revisions to its existing merger agreement. If, after considering any revisions, the WBD board determines in good faith that Paramount Skydance's proposal remains superior, WBD will be entitled to terminate its merger agreement with Netflix. Despite declaring Paramount's bid a company superior proposal, WBD stated that the Netflix merger agreement remains in effect. Well, the board continues to recommend the Netflix transaction and has not withdrawn or modified its recommendation. The next 4 business days now become critical. Netflix can raise its offers or restructure terms in an attempt to regain the upper hand. If not, Paramount Skydance's $31 per share could move WBD closer to exiting its deal with Netflix. Gee, I wonder what'll happen. Well, Paramount's set to win. WBD as Netflix backs out of Warner Brothers' bid. I mean, you got to consider what they would do. What you say, oh, we're going to offer $32. Well, $32 cash, or your same half and half deal of, oh, we'll get it, make it up on the back end of the global Discovery sale later. And no, we're not going to match that. You weren't matching it from the beginning. I mean, the Paramount offer was always better. This one's even more better. But, there's only so many shenanigans you can do. So in a major reversal, Netflix has officially backed out of the bidding war for Warner Brothers Discovery, declining to match Paramount Skydance's $31 per share offer and effectively clearing the path for David Ellison to win control of the studio. Netflix co-CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters confirmed Thursday that the company will not raise its bid, saying the transaction is no longer financially attractive. They don't have the money. David Ellison, chairman and CEO of Paramount, responded, "Hey, I'm happy with this." In a joint statement, Sarandos and Peters said the deal was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price. We don't really need them as much as they need us. You got to put a pretty shine on it, and they took some beatings about their content and everything. Plus, I mean, really, the antitrust stuff was really there's a case to be made. The transaction we negotiated would have created shareholder value with a clear path to regulatory approval. Really? However, we've always been disciplined and at the price required to match Paramount Skydance's latest offer. The deal is no longer financially attractive, so we're declining to match the Paramount Skydance bid. The executives think Warner Brothers Discovery leadership, including David Zaslav and the board, and said Netflix believed it would have been a strong steward of the company's brands. Still, they made clear price discipline ultimately drove the decision. Warner Brothers is a world-class organization, and we want to thank David Ellison, Gunnar Weidenfels. Oh, yeah, I think he's the head of Discovery Global. Anyway, Bruce Campbell, really? Brad Singer, and the WBD board for running a fair and rigorous process. We believe we would have been strong stewards of Warner Brothers' iconic brands, and that our deal would have strengthened the entertainment industry and preserved and created more production jobs in the U.S. But this transaction was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. With Netflix stepping aside, Paramount Skydance's revised $31 per share cash offer now stands as the only active proposal. Earlier Thursday, the WBD board determined that Paramount's bid constituted a company superior proposal.
Oh, man.
The offer
the whole damn
includes
deal like that?
several sweeteners, including a ticking fee payable to shareholders. Okay, the whole thing, the $7 billion, all that goody gumdrop stuff. So, Netflix is going to get $2.8 billion from Paramount. So if the Paramount transaction proceeds as expected, Netflix will receive the $2.8 billion breakup fee. Investors appeared to approve of the move, sending Netflix shares up more than 10% in after-hours trading following the announcement. Well, yeah. because their stock's been taking a hit for quite a while. Then finally you get some, hey, we're going to get $2.8 billion. So there you go. See, it ain't all bad. So Randolph and Peters emphasized that Netflix remains financially strong and will continue investing heavily in content. Netflix's business is healthy, strong, and growing organically, powered by our slate and best-in-class streaming service. This year, we'll invest approximately $20 billion in quality films and series, and we'll expand our entertaining offering. Consistent with our capital allocation policy, we'll also resume our share repurchase program. With Netflix officially out, all signs now point to Paramount Skydance finalizing its takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery, marking a major shift in the entertainment landscape. Now, what's interesting, they're going to keep Global Discovery. So, or Discovery Global, rather, I think is the title. So, that'll be interesting to see how that pans out and what value do they see in it, you know? You're making quite the gamble here, Ellison. Well, anyway, we'll see how that plays out. But overall, again, the conclusion is the same. It's a terrible thing that this happened at all. It's the failure of Warner Brothers. That's not Zaslav. Zaslav was brought in to sell this thing. That's all it was. You know, he had to polish it up, try to do this, try to do that, and make it shine to get the best price possible. And that's what he did. So his work is done here, you know. You know. But this is the consequences of the foolishness of previous Warner Brothers leadership. And this is where you are. I mean, Paramount itself is not really Paramount. It's Skydance, you know, because of their foolishness. So this is where you go. So they get gobbled up. There may be another merger down the road. There was some rumors about Comcast wanting to come in. Now, that's going to be difficult because that is a serious antitrust problem there, too. So, especially with them Paramount absorbing the likes of CNN and TNT and all that. Yeah, it's going to be difficult if it's possible at all. But then again, it might be assets being sold off. You know, could be that. But Warner Brothers effectively is no more. You know, it's just, I guess, a production studio under an umbrella of Paramount Skydance. You know, that's how it is. But Paramount seemed to have more of a credible commitment to theatrical releases. So that aspect of it, there's some breath of life there. The overall problems for theaters is they're in decline, regardless of what the studios do. They should make better films, but it may be too late. Because a lot of people are just not in the routine of going to the theaters anymore. And that's a serious problem. So with Netflix, it was done. It just wasn't going to happen. I know they made their, we'll do 45 days. You know, they were going to honor that for a while and then end it. That's not the Netflix model. It could have been, and I could make a case where it should have been. Netflix could have done a lot to help out with theaters in the early days, but the crappy era we've been through did its damage. So they didn't. And they, you know, they're number one when it comes to streaming. So it's like, what's the incentive for them, you know? So anyway, that's the deal. Now, of course, one of the things Zaslav did that brought revenue into Warner Brothers was licensing the properties to the likes of Netflix. So can they smooth the relationship over with Paramount and Netflix to say, hey, look, we can license properties to you, can't we? Because, you know, Paramount Plus just isn't all that. Now, with the influx of HBO Max, maybe that'll bolster its numbers immediately, sure. But going forward, I don't know. Because neither one of them, I mean, HBO Max got closer to Netflix than Paramount Plus did. But close is no cigar. Yeah. So I think this is it. This is, you know, other things can pop up, you know, who knows how this unfolds going forward, but it looks like Paramount came from seemingly losing and made a big comeback and took this by doing the better offer. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's all there is to it. So there you are. Barring anything weird, strange things happening. It could, I don't know what, but I think for now, this is it. Paramount wins. Yeah, that's the deal. Well, it's time now for another episode of WBD Bidding War, and it looks like it's over. It is. Yep. It's funny how things... Okay, well, gee, where does that leave things? Well, now my main interest was the DC films, so how's that going to pan out? Well, looks like we're going to have to find out.
Holy crap.
Come on. If that happened at Disney, it can happen again at DC. Wow, with Paramount seemingly winning Warner Brothers, what's to become of James Gunn's DCU? Since it was already limping along. Well, the question becomes, will James Gunn resign? Trump now owns Superman. Well, he doesn't own Superman. Come on. Anyway, Paramount now positioned to take over Warner Brothers Discovery after Netflix walked away from the deal, putting James Gunn and the DCU in the crosshairs. According to previous reports from the trades, the new regime at Paramount wants middle America programming and less culture war baggage, which means James Gunn becomes an obvious problem. Well, based on his recent work, primarily Peacemaker Season 2. I mean, that's just god-awful. And, Anyway, just as McCloy said all along, President Trump was the wild card in all this. Trump recently turned Netflix into a target, publicly calling for Netflix to remove Susan Rice from his board after her comments sparked backlash. Well, that's a bigger problem overall, not just Netflix itself and the entertainment industry, but just Susan Rice saying the truth out loud about what the Democrats intend to do. They're going to go back to lawfare and ruin people's companies that they don't like. And they're big on choosing winners and all that. And they're going to throw a bunch of people in jail if necessary once they take back power. DEI will come back. Culture wars come back. Cancel culture comes back, of course. All that. I mean, it's absolutely insidious. But yeah, in the middle of this, trying to seal the deal on this, as a member of the board, she comes in and dumps that crap on the floor. And so Sarandos goes to Washington. I don't know what he thought he could do, but it didn't work. And then after that, well, okay, we're leaving the deal. So, yeah, it was always going to be a bumpy ride, but this hype over it's all Trump. Trump obviously pissed off at what Susan Rice said, and he should be. Everybody should be. It's just like people like Susan Rice, they think they're aristocrats, and you're all pissants, and they'll do what you as they please. I mean, and her tenure has been nothing but scandal after scandal. She was terrible. And yet she gets rewarded with a seat on the board of directors of Netflix. Anyway, and she scuttled. She didn't derail the deal altogether because Paramount just has the better deal. But when it comes to the regulatory process, Netflix was going to have a tougher time. They're number 1 in streaming. They're buying the number 3 in streaming. It's like, how do you make an argument that competition is maintained when an even smaller streamer buys the number 3, like in the case of Paramount Plus buying HBO Max? It's not the same scenario. And Netflix, well, YouTube's bigger than we are. Well, YouTube is a different matter. It's just a different platform. For whatever reason, it wants to be Netflix, to hang out with the cool kids and movie stars and stuff, I guess. And, they're there anyway. But hey, if you want to do an antitrust, real antitrust thing, what's the deal with Google, huh? That would be a real monopoly case to take on. But between the two, yeah, Netflix was going to have more trouble. They ultimately could still come and make the deal. Everybody was saying, well, it's going to take a long time, possibly 2 years, maybe more, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, that's the shareholders like, oh, man, you know. But ultimately getting Warner Brothers in the end. But unfortunately for them, Paramount had the better deal. So going on about, you know, Trump really changed everything here, that's not entirely accurate. Now, he weighs in on this, of course. But, you know. And a lot of when Sarandos was questioned by Congress, it was all about the crappy content, you know, the DEI stuff, the trans messaging and cartoons and creepy movies like Cuties, stuff like that. But not enough cases on antitrust law, which is really their only case to be made against it. They were talking about they lean left far more than anything else and that sort of thing. But really, for antitrust purposes, you've got to make the case that they've gobbled up too much of the marketplace. So anyway, if Paramount controls WBD backed by Trump, they control DC, which includes Superman, Batman, and the Justice League, and more. Gunn's DCU brand doesn't line up with the direction Paramount has been signaling, again, which centers on America-centric and MAGA content. I don't know that they actually said MAGA content, but Gunn has openly clashed with conservatives online, and his DC output has leaned into woke themes that keep triggering culture war fights. Well, you can certainly make the case with Peacemaker season number 2. To some extent, Creature Commandos, which was far superior to Peacemaker season 2, but it did have its political crap in it. Well, there's that. For the Superman movie, vaguely there. It was just a sloppy movie. I mean, it was too cluttered and all. And it's a shame because I think David Cornsweet can make a good Superman, but he's never going to get the chance. Yeah. Now, I don't know how old this tweet is. In my years on social network, I have never spoken out politically, Gunn tweeted. But we're in a national crisis with an incompetent president forging a full-blown attack on facts and journalism in the style of Hitler and Putin. Yeah, no, he didn't. I don't recall him assassinating any journalists. I don't recall him putting them all in camps. Anyway, a new owner that wants broader middle-of-the-country appeal doesn't want D.C. to be a constant argument filled with lecturing. And fans sure don't want it. Yeah, this right here, this scene from Peacemaker number 2, where, you know, they attack Christians and just America overall. Because, see, in the plot, they go to this alternate universe Earth, and it's a world where the Nazis won World War II. And so America's a Nazi country. But then the two characters of color get to talking. It's not much different than it is back home, right? And one of them says, Jesus Christ. And the other one says, oh, they love him here. See, that's what they think of Christians. Yeah. And this is after the fully naked bisexual orgy with people walking around masturbating in the first episode as a follow-up to his Superman movie. It says, hey, this is a direct follow-up to Superman. Yeah. Anyway, back in 2018, Gunn's online history and politics became part of the public fight, and conservatives helped drive the pressure that ended with Disney firing him from Guardians of the Galaxy. No, his tweets about creepy, you know, and there was a lot of them. And, yeah. And then the thing of it was he was perfectly fine with cancel culture when it involved the likes of Roseanne Barr. When it was his turn, hey, what the hell? So, except he didn't really suffer cancellation as much as everyone else did. He immediately got a job at Warner Brothers. to do Suicide Squad. You know? So, yeah, it doesn't really compare to everyone, to other people. People on the right and conservatives are just people who just didn't hate Trump, you know. I don't even know if most of them voted for him. They get canceled. And they're done. Yeah. And he really didn't get the gun treatment. He got it a lot easier than others. So his attacks on Trump and overall tone of his persona were part of why he became a light. You know, I haven't really heard him do much about it lately. But the product's what ultimately matters. And that crap he put in there. Holy crap. So stupid. If that happened at Disney, it can happen again at DC if Paramount wants fewer headaches. Let's also point out that on the release day of Guns Superman, the White House posted that Trump as Superman meme using truth, justice, in the American way. And, of course, Guns' official tagline with truth, justice, and the human way. Yeah. Yeah. Although it is interesting, he did turn Jimmy Olsen back from being black to being a white guy. And a ginger. Weird, huh? I guess they were going to get around to have him come out of the closet. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they'll do that in Man of Tomorrow. You know, before it's all over. Anyway, will Gunn resign? Maybe. I don't know. If Paramount finalizes the control, Gunn has two paths. He can resign and frame it as his choice. Or he can stay and wait for the new leadership to decide that DC needs a reset. The second option usually ends messier. Who's the best Star Wars bounty hunter? I don't care anymore. Sorry. Yeah. Sad. I wish it weren't like that, but it is. So anyway, oh no. What are you going to do about DCU? Well, apparently they're talking about it on Reddit or something like that. Now look, you always pick the goofy pictures. Come on. Does he have a piercing? How can Superman have a piercing in his... Well, maybe it's got kryptonite, but that would make him sick. Anyway, DC fans think James Gunn's DCU is dead. We're cooked. So they're not happy about Paramount because they think the Ellisons are MAGA fascists or some crap, probably. I don't know. So there you go. They're all, weeping and gnashing their teeth. So user SDL Rob has one of the most blunt comments. How will it impact? It ends it. They're not going to let Gunn continue without meddling the heck out of what he creates. And the first chance they get, they'll sack him. And the replies immediately go to Gunn leaving first, just as we were speculating. If Gunn doesn't tell them to fuck off first... A lot of Gunn/DCU comments revolve around control. One early response frames Paramount as the kind of owner that will steer DC towards safer, broader plays. Well, how much of control was Gunn in DCU? You go back to Zaslav saying, look, we're scrapping the DCEU. You're going to hire cheaper talent. It was really all a creative choice on Gunn's part. I don't think so. So, is there a place for him at Paramount? There might be. I always thought he'd be the guy to handle properties like Lobo and stuff. I don't know. He might have burned some bridges, especially with Peacemaker Season 2. Man, how do you destroy your own? Because that first season was cool. Anyway, I think Paramount is going to want more control. They'll probably also want to focus more on mainstream characters. Well, yeah, that's what brings the money in. It's a business. At least it would make sense. Some of these other choices, most of the choices, they're so stupid. And look, James Gunn doesn't own any of this. It's different when it's his own personal project and they come in and try to micromanage it all. that kind of crap. And especially, and this goes on all the time, just talk to Zack Snyder about that. The 11th hour changes you want and stuff like that. That's crap too, whether it's your personal project or not. It's like, no, you got a script, you hand it in, you got to look it over, and yeah, all right. At that point, you say, yeah, look, you can't do this. You can do all this other stuff, but not that. And that's what you got to do. It's their property. Now, when it's your film and they're like, nah. Now, they don't have to distribute your pet project, So anyway, another commenter goes further, arguing the DC wouldn't stay the same under new leadership. As for the DCU, I can't see us getting another film like Superman. Well, let's hope not. There will be interference from above to neuter films to fit a certain ideology. Well, you're fine with the ideology they were inserting now. See, that's the thing. I mean, I hear this argument about, oh no, the Ellisons. So, standard operating procedure? Oh, no, wait, you worry it'll come from a different bent. You're perfectly fine with political sermons, so long as they're yours. Some of the thread is basically a panic meter, and DCU talk gets lumped into that. It's over, posted purse-grabbing puke. We are cooked, said Stephen Smith, who's 25, I guess. The doom talk also ties back to debt and cost cutting, with fans assuming DC becomes a play-it-safe brand while a merged company tries to pay bills. There is that. They're really going to be hurting after all the money they spent to get this thing. Not everyone buys the DCU is dead take. A few comments pushed back. Wow. That people are spiraling over something that might not even change the day-to-day at DC Studios. People are freaking out over what is probably nothing. DC is doing great right now. It is? Well, I mean, the comic books are doing better, narratively speaking, and they're beating Marvel. That's not really saying much anymore. But the movies and TV shows and stuff, no. Well, they're not doing great. I doubt they'd want to change anything. They're going to change it. Said user communist is bad, I think. Well, you're right about that. But that everything's great? And another basically says the DCU panic is missing the bigger picture. It's not going to really impact anything. The wrong questions are being asked here. People are panicking about the DCU, but not talking about a monopoly forming right now. You dodged the monopoly. Reddit's DC fans aren't debating plot details or casting here. They're debating survival. The dominant take is that a Paramount-run WBD means meddling. They were fine with the meddling before. Gunn leaves or get removed, and the DCU either resets again or shrinks into the safest possible version of DC. Yeah, well, that would just be make Batman movies. And that might still be the outcome. Yeah. But anywho, best elsewhere, Dark Knight Returns. I mean, I like all these. But, the impact and all that, you got to go with Dark Knight Returns. So, let's see what I got here. Oh, well, I'm right. I'm right. Don't you say I'm not. I guess it would be more in the middle if it was actually a tongue piercing. So, spit, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, sorry, Dave, but I guess... Well, you got one more movie coming, and I think he probably has a cameo in the Supergirl movie. So there's that. Yeah, it's all sad, but I mean, damn, Gunn, what the hell? And there again, I don't know, did they tell him, look, we want you to introduce the shared universe in the first movie, that kind of thing? So he basically has his own Justice League in it and all that. Yeah, that was a bad move, and that makes it cost more than you were supposed to be saving money. I don't know what the hell they were doing, but yeah, he messed up. And then he really messed up with Peacemaker season number 2. Yeah. So, that's too bad. Well, with Paramount seemingly winning Warner Brothers, what's to become of Gene's? Well, now you know the story. It's all very sad. What are you going to do? Nobody knows. Birthday month. And somehow the month where so many of my films found their way into the world. 300, Dawn of the Dead, Watchmen. Hey, what's Zack Snyder up to? Right. He's still teasing. That's what he does. He teases. I wonder why he's teasing now. Well, Zack Snyder teases Justice League Rebirth with Henry Cavill's Superman image. Zack Snyder has now shared an image of Henry Cavill as Superman on Instagram, following news that Paramount submitted a revised offer for Warner Brothers Discovery. Update. Netflix has officially backed out. Oh, my goodness. Oh. So, here we go. Here's the latest one. Henry Cavill, his super suit, and he posted it there. But he did this cryptic quote here where he says, Snyder posted a quote alongside the Henry Cavill image, Superman image, where he says, where I had thought to find an abomination, I shall find a god. Where I had thought to slay another, I shall slay myself. No, don't. Where I had thought to travel outward, I shall come to the center of my own existence. Where I had thought to be alone, I shall be with all the world. Huh, I wonder. Oh, it's from Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces, specifically from the Belly of the Whale stage of the hero's journey. The section represents transformation, the hero confronting fear, ego, and false perception before emerging changed. It signals rebirth and a shift in perspective. Snyder choosing that quote under an image of Cavill's Superman and the potential of Paramount buying WBD does not feel random. Well, it fits into the narratives because Superman literally came back from the dead. And then he's got to overcome one big challenge against Darkseid and all that. But we never got to see that part. But maybe we will. A day earlier, Snyder posted, March is close. It's where my story begins. Birthday month. And somehow the month where so many of my films found their way into the world. 300, Dawn of the Dead, Watchmen, Sucker Punch, Batman v Superman. That reads like a setup. March is clearly significant to Snyder historically. But posting that message now, right as Paramount's offer gains traction, and look, it won, all right? It feels like more than nostalgia. It sounds like someone is hinting at something coming. Josh Horowitz has teased something BVS is coming with Zack Snyder. Oh, boy, well, we'll check that out in a minute. There's, Cavill again. Warner Brothers Discovery has confirmed Paramount's revised proposal qualifies as a superior proposal, giving Netflix a limited window to respond. Yeah, they did. They said we quit. Rumors now suggest Netflix could walk away from the deal. They did. We've been told, that Cosmic News, that Snyderverse is back in play if Paramount wins the bid. We're also told Snyder has new Justice League plans. We've also heard Henry Cavill is on board. Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, maybe Ben Affleck. And Joe Manganiello says, I want to come back as Deathstroke and all that good stuff. So nothing official has been announced, but between the hero's journey quotes, the March message, Paramount's rising position, and Cavill's Superman resurfacing on Snyder's feed, it certainly feels like something is building. What is the best DC weapon? Probably Green Lantern's ring. See? I'm always right. You know it's true. All right. Well, what did Josh Horowitz say? Well, let's see what we're talking about. Josh Horowitz teases Batman v Superman 10-year special with Zack Snyder. Josh Horowitz may have just added more fuel to the growing Snyderverse speculation. Horowitz tagged in Zack Snyder and posted on Facebook, 10 years, something special on Happy, Sad, Confused dropping soon. The timing immediately caught attention, not only because Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice hits its 10-year anniversary on March 25th, 2026, but also because Paramount has won the bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. You think this is good news? I don't know. Batman v Superman was released on March 25th, 2016, marking a full decade this month. In today's dollars, the flick brought in over $1.18 billion with a massive international audience. Yeah, they're big on the international audience, so, Superman was just unable to get that at all. But Man of Steel and Batman v Superman did. Horowitz strongly suggests something tied to the anniversary is coming to Happy, Sad, Confused podcast. The most obvious possibility? Zack Snyder appearing in an interview to reflect on the film and its legacy. But maybe there's more. This lines up directly with Snyder's own recent Instagram post about, the Joseph Campbell thing, his birthday, all that type of stuff. March clearly holds a personal and professional significance for Snyder. And now, the 10-year BVS milestone lands right in the middle of the Warner Brothers Discovery sale. So many fans interpreted that post as a possible tease of a Justice League continuation or revival with the Joseph Campbell quote. So now with Horowitz hinting at something special tied to the 10-year anniversary of Batman v Superman, speculation is building that Snyder could use the podcast appearance to say more than just a recollection of the past events. It could simply be a retrospective conversation, or it could be something bigger. Recall that Horowitz announced the return of Henry Cavill as Superman. We're told WBD CEO David Zaslav put the kibosh on that and ordered James Gunn to reboot DC with cheaper talent. Well, now WB and DC are sold to Paramount. Hi, Wonder Woman. We've been told the Snyderverse is back in play with Paramount, which includes new Justice League movies, as Zack has new ideas for the sequels. We've also been told Henry, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, Ben Affleck, maybe. Best show, Daredevil, we've done that. I've already been proven right. I don't care you didn't show it. I know. But anyway, there we go. So they're going to do a special on the Happy Sad podcast, whatever. And will this go the way when Zack Snyder was he was reviewing his films and they had a watch along on Vero where he was rewatching Batman versus Superman, and then after that, and Henry Cavill came on to talk to him, and then all of a sudden that's when he announced that the deal was done with HBO Max and that Zack Snyder's Justice League would be on the platform. So this early, I don't know. But then he goes in that, yes, there's been discussions of reviving the Snyderverse or the DCEU and completing the Justice League stories. I suppose it's possible. I don't doubt it's too much teasing that there was discussions. Hey, if this happens, would you consider coming back and that type of stuff, and trying to line up all the chicks. Not the women. The saying of lining up your, Anyway, to get them all back together and to hope for the best on this, then maybe so. Maybe. So what's the deal about all this for Paramount and stuff? Well, Paramount wants big event movies. And they got a point. If they can swing this to try to garner enough excitement to get people back in those seats, it could still all fail. Even if the movies are pretty damn good. Because the damage done is pretty bad. But I understand the idea of it. So I guess they're going to try, So does this conclude Snyderverse? Well, following Paramount's official win of the Warner Brothers Discovery bid, the transition is beginning. No, not that kind of transition. According to our insiders, discussions remain in the very early stages, but the Ellisons are committed to major event films aimed at mainstream audiences and rooted in classic heroism. And that includes renewed Snyderverse talks. We're told the Ellisons want large-scale franchise films and big events, where our insiders point to the Transformers/G.I. Joe movie that has been in development. Worth mentioning is that Michael Bay is said to be returning to the Transformers franchise. There's also internal discussion about pushing a new Top Gun sequel and returning Star Trek to a more classic tone. Starfleet Academy will be canceled after season 2. Just, I don't know. If you can't just scrap season 2, just dump it all at once. Get this over with. I mean, the longer that crap stays, I mean, the damage is pretty bad for the brand. And the longer this garbage continues, it's bleeding the Star Trek brand. So anyway, yeah, they've already got a movie in the works with those guys who did the Dungeons and Dragons movie. So, we'll see. I don't know. It's a movie. I'd rather a show, but, I mean, again, so much damage has been done. But anyway, they're going to try. So, which comes from the previous regime at Paramount. Yeah, Pride. Yeah, so you can't count, Secret Hideout Trek. That doesn't count. Anyway, the focus at Paramount is clear. As under CEO David Ellison, they want broad appeal, recognizable IP, and traditional heroic storytelling. That direction lines up directly with renewed Snyderverse chatter. Well, he is emphasizing Joseph Campbell and that sort of thing as regards to Superman. So, yeah, I guess it would line up with him. Our insiders say the Snyderverse is still being discussed internally. Yeah, they got to figure out exactly how it's going to be done, That explains the recent wave of activity from Zack Snyder and his circle. Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke post, Snyder sharing Henry Cavill's Superman image, and Josh Horowitz teasing a special Zack Snyder feature are all designed to keep public attention on Snyder's DC universe. The strategy is simple. Keep demand visible while ownership transitions are finalized. Snyder recently highlighted March as the month where many of his films were released, including Batman v Superman. Horowitz teased something special. At the same time, Manganiello revived Deathstroke, and you better not be wasting my time. And now that Paramount has secured WBD, those pieces look less like coincidence and more like coordinated momentum. Whoa. Well, nothing official has been announced, of course, regarding a Justice League or Snyderverse continuation, but by my guess, that being Klein, the Paramount deal may not go officially through until later this year. Yeah, but they could still be talking. And obviously someone has. No guarantees, but it's that kind of thing. Would you be interested? Can we perhaps do this? And apparently he's got some of the cast members saying, yeah, let me know. I'd like to do it. But insiders say the Ellisons favor high-profile event films anchored by recognizable heroes. If that philosophy carries into DC, a Snyder-led return featuring Ben Affleck's Batman, Henry Cavill's Superman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, and Jason Momoa's Aquaman would fit that mold. I've also been told Zack has new Justice League plans, as his sequel storyboard ideas have been on display online for years. Yeah, that's the deal. You've already spoiled the plot, so you got to change it up. Now, for the most part, it's not a bad plot. And it's tied to Batman v Superman, which revealed, and then the Justice League reveals the future and all that. So you got to stick to some of it. Just get rid of that business of Batman banging Lois Lane and she getting pregnant and all. No. That's Superman's kid, not Batman's. Just don't do that. The rest of it, I was mostly fine with. To reiterate, right now everything's in its early stages. Studios and help are scrambling and details are still emerging. But with Paramount in control and Snyder's circle actively engaging fans, recall Snyder posting that Henry Cavill Superman's Veterans Day tribute, which should tell you everything you need to know regarding which side Snyder is on. Well, look, Snyder's a Democrat, so let's not get crazy with this. But anybody can stick their finger in the wind and all that. So the possibility of a Snyderverse revival is stronger than it's ever been. Super Trump. So there you go. That's the deal. And a big event and a lot of buzz and excitement about anything. Yeah, maybe. So saying, yeah, Snyderverse is back. We're going to do it again. And there's a lot of people go like, oh, no. Me, I'd be there for it, I was there for James Gunn's Superman, but I saw it. And I'm like, oh, no. Well, maybe. So then I watch the numbers and I go, okay, well, yeah, it's done. Which superhero movie had the best soundtrack? Well, the best isn't on here, but out of this list, I got to go with Dark Knight. What? It's just a bunch of old hits and stuff. That's stupid. You're wrong. I'm right. Jeez. So anyway, maybe, we'll see. But again, the clock is ticking. Ain't nobody getting younger. So, I know they got a lot of stuff to figure out and measure the drapes and all that and get the furniture in place. But you really got to get ready to hit the ground running. So, sometime this year we'll probably know something official, I would imagine. If not, then it was all much ado about nothing. And maybe Zack Snyder gets to do his Dark Knight Returns adaptation. Could be that. Maybe even have Affleck and Cavill in that. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. So, hey, interesting times, huh? Yeah, I guess so. Hey, what's Zack Snyder up to? He's still teasing. That's what he does. He teases. Man, I wonder why it just cut out like that. I don't remember having it set up that way. Damn it. You work on this stuff. Then you get it ready to go. And I just sort of preview it on this live stream while I draw pictures and stuff like that, yeah. And then weird crap happens. Don't much care for crap in general, but particularly weird crap. Not a fan. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to keep drawing. What? I got another thing. I already did that. I got, I'm going to pass on that. All right, so I'm just going to draw some pictures. I'll finish this Superman. It's not great. There's David Cornsweet Superman with a pink slip. Here's Henry Cavill Superman. Looks like I got some work to do. Maybe. We don't know. But, it's interesting and all that. All that razzmatazz, so on and so forth. Let's see here. Go ahead and do all this cross-hatching to do that textured thing. They do like texture in their superhero suits these days. And certainly had a lot of that on Cavill's suit, and Affleck's Batman suit, and all that. And one wonders when that'll change. Even the Cornsweet suit, up close, it's got some kind of texture to it, So, I guess the days of the Christopher Reeve suit are long gone. What are you going to do? All right. There's actually some amount of texture on the boots too. I think. Oh, that's right. The S has it too. Maybe ever so lightly. Do it like that. And all of this will, it'll look better once I put it in Photoshop and color it and all that good stuff. Yeah. When will I do this? I don't know. Come here, you. Gotta give some definition to that cape. There we have it. How are you going to fly around in a cape with no definition? Why, that would be terrible. Crap, I forgot all about this. I better check. Okay, I figured. All right. Let's see here. Oh, wait. Did I do the... Oh, crap. I never even loaded it. Damn. Well, I'll put the video out. Those are going to be individual videos. Anyway, so it'll be fine. It's just an interesting little story. But, morning Dub from D-Rec. Morning D-Rec. Susan says, good morning, Doug and D-Rec. D-Rec says, good morning, Susan. Good morning, Susan. See, all taken care of. Pellel says, hey, everybody. Execs are the destroyers of creative art, says Pellel. Well, there's certain factors to go in there. The deal when it comes to these movies, and the Snyder story is a pretty good example of this, was you own this property, all right? So it's Superman. So you hire him to come do the movie, and he says, okay. So they submit this premise, an outline, and eventually a full script, and the executives, whatever, look over it, and he talked about this. He says, this is great, but this part here, no, we don't want you doing that. So okay, so that's out. So they figured all that out, and they said, this is great. Go do your movie, Zach. So he does. Now, I guess with Superman, actually, they were fine. No, it was Justice League. That's right. Or Batman versus Superman. Stuff like that. And when it came to Justice League, they're the ones pushing, hurry up and get that done before they even knew what the results of Batman versus Superman would be. Of course, it wasn't to their liking, even though by today's standards it did very well. But, they wanted it to hit Marvel numbers. But Marvel had already been up and running for quite a few years. So you're not going to do that in one movie. But, So anyway, that's where the panic kind of set in, I suspect. So, but they had agreed on the script. They'd agreed on what the movie would entail and all this stuff. And so Snyder is shooting his Justice League movie. Now, the fact that it was that long, I think he was always thinking, well, this will be the Blu-ray version, and it's like, yeah, but you need to tighten up your story. It's possible to do that. Look, I like the movie, but 4 hours, that's going to be a hard sell. He did cut it's a little over 2 hours, but it's not, I forget how many minutes. I guess, which means there's 2 Snyder cuts. So it'd be cool to see what all he did to make it like that. But, oh, well. But anyway, that's the thing. And then they came in and wanted him to shoot an entire different movie within a matter of months and make it more like Marvel and all that stuff. And that's 11th hour changes. You just can't do that. You agree at the outset. And that's that. There's a certain point of too late. And this seems to be an attitude quite a bit. I don't know what the hell happened to Marvel where they just decided, we'll make it up later. We'll just reshoot. And no, you need to know what you're doing from the get-go. Now, there's flexibility. Things can happen. Some actor gets hurt, can't be in it anymore, that kind of thing, or gets busted. And it's just kind of, oh, we got to recast. Well, whatever. Our weather can, on a location, all that kind of stuff. And you got to be flexible about it. And you thought you could get this or that, and you can't. So now you got to hurry up and redo the scene where it's this way or that. Sometimes some people can improvise on the scene, and well, that's actually better than the script, and that kind of thing. But that's rather minor. To change the entire tone and theme of the film, all that, and try to make it like the other guy's movie. No, that's stupid. And it was too late. Now, I don't know what all went wrong. It was actually more cohesive. There was more connection concerning Steppenwolf and the mother boxes and all that. There was supposed to be a reference to that in the Wonder Woman movie. They cut it. A big part of the plot of Suicide Squad was going to be about that. They took all that out. A huge mistake, in my opinion, because that would give you more of what, you're going out of your way to make to achieve this connectivity between the films. And then you take that out. I don't understand that. But too many cooks in the kitchen and all that. And of course, chasing Marvel. Which you got to understand it, but you got to let your own characters breathe and stuff like that. And so... And then you saw what happened to Marvel. They became convinced that silly, stupid gags that aren't really even all that funny to begin with was the secret sauce to their success. And that's not true. It was an element. There's elements of humor. But these were adventure stories. Good versus evil and that sort of thing. And they lost sight of it. So, yeah. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Captain Infinity offers a toast. Pell says, how many Dougs are there? I don't know. There's a lot out there. I haven't met them all, It's not like we have a secret meeting or something. Well, maybe sometime. DC should have fired Snyder after his daughter died. Oh, shouldn't have. Yeah, I was. Jeez, that was crap. I really was looking forward to JLA Part 2, and then taking on Darkseid. Doug, you had an echo there for a while. Oh well, it's probably the what do you call it? When the browser's audio is still on, it causes an echo with OBS. Anyway. Well, yeah, more or less fired him. They wanted him gone. They thought they had this great opportunity for Joss Whedon just because he had been at Marvel and done Avengers. So somehow he was going to magically make Justice League in a Marvel movie within a couple of months. So they took advantage of Zack Snyder's daughter dying, and he said, I need a break. He was, in a bad place because of that. He was already irritated and frustrated for what they were doing to his movie and stuff, and then that happens. Now, to add insult to injury, they came up with this BS story that he had asked Joss Whedon, his good friend Joss Whedon, to come in and finish the film for him while he mourns his daughter. And this implies, and they put his name on the film, that the theatrical Justice League is his film. It clearly wasn't. We all know that now. You can compare the two and all that. But that's what they did. He would have rather they take his name off of it and just put Joss Whedon's name on it. I mean, it just, and to take advantage of that story and lie about it, they're already at odds and irritated. That's going to leave a pretty salty wound for a long, long time with that kind of thing. It's going to cut deep. So there's no love lost there in that aspect. So whatever the problems with Snyder's films and stuff, he didn't deserve anything like that. And they were pretty rotten to him on that. I mean, those people are all gone now, but, it's just to go along with something like that. No. Drive-by says Star Trek has been garbage ever since Discovery, with the exception of Picard Season 3. Well, easily by comparison, Picard Season 3 is better than STD. But Picard Season 3 is too little too late. And look, it got all this praise by people that got to see it in advance. And I was like, really? I never saw what they saw. There's elements in there that are really cool. The best thing about it is it's the reunion of the Next Generation cast. And so you get some good scenes there. And there's some really good scenes in it. But it's got a lot of stupid in it. I mean, Vulcan mobsters. And some of it, I think they probably would have been better if they'd have just done a movie. I don't think it had the material for the number of the episodes. And then it just ends with Picard Jr. being babysat by his two lesbian mommies. And everybody says, this will make a great series. I don't see that. Probably a better setup for a follow-up to that would have been they didn't kill off that captain of the Titan, because he's such an asshole. But he was, a good guy. But he was just a bit of an asshole. It would have been funny. And that how he didn't get along with Seven of Nine, and that dynamic might have made for a pretty good, interesting series there. And then, of course, the development of, Picard Jr. I forget his name. And then Geordi's daughter, and that obvious hint of a romance there, and that sort of stuff as the drama went on. And if you had somebody who knows how to write actual Star Trek episodes with a cast like that, yeah, maybe. But, they killed the guy off. Stupid. But anyway, Susan says, morning drive-by. Susan says, what Paramount needs to do is take all of Star Trek, every copy, and burn it. Permanently purge it. That would include the woke Penguin tune as well. Oh, that cartoon where they reimagined everything and it was all very stupid. It's too bad because a Batman set in the 40s would be really cool. But yeah, they had to, I mean, I'm not going to go through it, but you can, the idiocy of it. It's like, do you understand you're insulting the very concept that you claim to be championing and all that? No, they'll never figure that out. Gap After Dark 2034. Hello, I saw our Antiderivative Jill's post, so I thought I would check out your show. Hello all. Okay, well, thanks coming by. Thank you. Susan says hi. Gap says hi back. So there you go. We're all caught up on that. So there's my drawings on. Oh, damn. I turned that thing off. All right. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, man, too many things open. Since we were talking of Star Trek, I have my review of an old two Next Generation episodes. I've been rewatching those slowly but surely. Every now and then I find the time. And then I do a little Nailsin ratings review of it. And got to put it together with my own artwork. Yes. Sometimes, every now and then, I'd get lazy and just use Photoshop and stuff with whatever pictures from the actual episodes. But I don't know. I feel like I should do it with my own art. It's still there. All right, let's see. Open. There it is. All right, let's see if I can go ahead and share screen. Are you gonna let me do that? All right. So there we go. It's gonna have my little drawing of Superman at the bottom, but that's what you do. So sometimes I just do them as stills with preset images of space and stuff. Other times I'll take this footage of stars and nebulas and all that. And, oh, it looks cool. It's in outer space. And then put my preset. Oh man, it's doing this thing. Ah, jeez. Come on. I don't like that, and I still don't know how to undo it. All these years. Anyway, let's see. Where's the thing? So this is the Nailsin ratings that I did it in a font similar to the Star Trek Next Generation logo. So we'll move that back here. And there we go. And I'll set that to fade in. And then to fade out. See? It's key. So key. And there we go. I'll probably need to move it around. Space. Final right there. These are the voyages of the Nailsin ratings. To watch old episodes of Star Trek. Because new episodes of New Trek is crap. Alright, so we got that. But I do recall I've already recorded the review, and I think it's already talking about the ship and everything at that point. So, good enough. So now we come to the title. And we're going to want to put that there. Yes. Whoops, not over it, or under it, as it were. And then, there we go. So I guess that can go a little bit longer. Well, that's probably too long. And then, again, with the fade, and then the fade out. Yay! So there we go. That's Star Trek, the Next Generation. So now, let's see. Our main characters for the first episode primarily is Troy and what's his name? This from the episode Hunted. And he's this soldier who was genetically altered to be the perfect killer. And, well, they did it so well that that's all he is. So him and the other veterans were, exiled to a moon. And they said, hey, it's for the best. Well, they didn't like that. They wanted to come back. So that's basically the premise there. Gee, what happens? Well, you'll just have to watch the show to find out. All right. Here we can use this effect. Now, when I do it on the still images, I make up my own, and it's an attempt to kind of sort of look like how the teleportation takes place. So it looks like I'm going to have to do the fade in a lot longer. And this. All right. So I'm still on the plasma thing. So it looks nothing like the transporter in the show, but no. Damn it. See. Okay. Well, it's the plasma. So where is my do I do it with the plasma fade in, and that's how I guess. And then, no, that's not how that works. Damn, I'm already forgetting how to do it. There we go. That's the deal. All right. Yeah. So I'm gonna want it to go down to 0 at the final. So basically, you're doing this, There, they see it's like a little glow. All right, good enough. So now I'll copy this. And there we go. And then we're going to move on over. Move it on over. Oh, wait. I don't even know. Yeah, there it is. I thought it, wasn't sure. All right. All right. So now we do the opposite. We want it at 100%. And then 0 in the ending. Yay. Or the initial. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the initial will be nothing, and then it'll be completely blue. So there we go. It's at the end of the story. So Troy and what's his face, they run away together and live happily ever after. Yeah, that's the ending. But there you go. They're not exactly as good as I wanted it, but maybe I could drag it out a little. Drag it out a little longer. Oop, oop, oop. Nope. All right. Well, I guess it'll do. What the hell? All right. So there's them, and then we have the characters from High Ground. So come on, get over here, and we'll put them there somewhere around here. I don't know. Jeez, I'll have to get the audio track in there so I'll know exactly where to put them. But yeah, that ought to do it. So it's the same deal, you hit transparency, you hit fade in, and you fade out, and that's what you do. So we're going to make that a little bit longer. Then we're going to go to nature and hit plasma. And yay! We got plasma all the way over. What the hell? Why is it? Oh, because I had it. Usually it goes back to the normal. Good Lord. All right, well, whatever. Anyway, we got it here. And same thing. So initial will be 100. 100%. Hey, that's everything. Yes, that's right. It is. Now, if you'll just let me go to 0 at the end. Thank you. So here we go. Let's see how they do. Hey, that's even better, huh? Yeah. So there we go. There's the redheaded police chick that was hanging around Riker. Of course she was. And then the separatist leader who abducts Beverly and then starts drawing pictures of her and stuff because he's like all into her. And then Picard. And then, she almost gets to tell Picard how she feels, But then old smart ass, creepy picture drawing guy. Look, nothing against guys drawing pictures. I mean, look at me. But, Anyway, so, when he gets shot, it's like, you think Beverly still felt sorry for him and stuff? No. She's like, you asshole. I had a moment, and then you walked in. So she didn't say nothing when Redhead snuck up behind him and shot him in the back. And he's like, Beverly, and dies, Well, and also he nearly blew up her son, I know the rest of us wouldn't have cared because it was Wesley, but she would have, he was going to blow up the host ship, and he's like, it sucks, but what are you going to do? And he's like, well, you could not do it. Yeah, well, it's a big statement and stuff, and everybody's going to think I'm cool. So, yeah, I'm going to do it. But Geordi woke up and found the bomb and beamed it out into space, so. Yeah, it didn't work. So, all that worked for nothing. And that's called justice. Aw, damn it, why'd you do it like, what the hell's going on here? It's, initial. Oh, no, I must have, what did I do? I did this to the fade? Huh? Yeah, man. No, come on. I was on the wrong one, I guess. I don't know. No. That's not right. It would be 0. Yeah. So. It would be. No. It would be 0 at the beginning. And, 100 at the end. But okay, what's this about? All right. There you go. All right. Crap. Well, I know this is a thrill a minute to watch, but, I will figure this out. So I think, God, this should have been automatic. I don't know. I guess I hit the wrong thing, or who the hell knows? I don't. Yeah, all right. I guess that'll do. Maybe stretch it over here. Yeah. Yeah is the proper metric, you understand. Yeah, all right. It'll do. There you go. That's what it'll look like. Then I'll stick my little video on the end that advertises my site, my podcast, whatever the hell it is. I forget. You would think I would know by now, but yeah. Okay. Pelel or Dana or Dana, that super Danner, I think, Dinar, something like that. I just watched this episode within the past couple of months. Yeah, well, I watched it a couple of weeks ago. Anyone who can defeat a transporter is not to be trifled with. Oh, you mean like Jason Statham? Pell, oh, I remember this. I think that's the one the people use a toxic way of instant. Well, yeah, that the second episode, that's what they did. It was kind of interesting. It's an interesting counter to the transporter. They didn't have that, but they were able to open sort of like these dimensional doorways, sort of a warp, I suppose. The problem was it's not very healthy to do. It screws with your cells, whatever, and prolonged use of it ultimately will end up killing you. So the reason they abducted Beverly was because they needed a doctor to help treat the different members who were all sick and then writhing in pain and whatnot. And then she ultimately said, "You just got to stop doing that. That's not an option, doctor." Oh, well, he ended up getting shot in the back and dying anyway, so it didn't matter. But that was the deal. Wesley blown up, no great loss. Shut up, Wesley. Yeah, but Geordie found the bomb. They all would have been blown up. The whole ship was going to go up. So, they had to let that go, Beverly, Crusher, Doctor, Locutus. Yeah, just when she thought he was pretty cold to begin with, then she's got to deal with that. Oh, no. But then she probably thought the suit was kind of intriguing or whatever, Oh, well, I don't know. So there you go. You're all caught up. If you missed anything, don't worry. Those videos will be posted on the channel. And, hey, won't that be fun? So there you go. Paramount wins the bidding war. And we'll see what they do, come what may. And they're very, what's the word? I don't want to say ballsy. Well, I just did. On theaters, they're very ambitious on that. And they did announce they wanted to hit 30 movies a year, So, I don't know. We'll see what they can do. But it is true that they want some big movies. It's not like they're going to have 30 big, giant blockbusters. They're not going to do that. You wouldn't be able to afford it. But you want a couple of those to drive the excitement and to generate interest in it. And then the other movies you do that are smaller and that sort of thing and simpler genres somewhat. Well, maybe not simpler overall. They could be very complex, but cheap to make, that aren't, superheroes and sci-fi and James Bond, stuff like that. And that's how that works. A lot of those, the big spectaculars make the money that you can spread it around. And these other movies, simple comedies and stuff like that, your romance movies, and occasionally sometimes a good mystery and stuff like that. And they're cheaper and what, so your opportunities for making huge bank on them when they just really catch on is quite the element there as well. Especially since you didn't sink a whole lot of money into it to begin with, so your chances of profit are greatly increased. So that's what you need, but you got to have these giants to spark the excitement, because at the moment, it's not there anymore. They've been very foolish. They got drunk on crap money from BlackRock and whatnot to push some weird agenda that was going to change the world and turn everybody into, I don't know, bug-eating plebs. Whatever the hell that was supposed to be. And they went broke. And now look at them. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. Warner Brothers, in a very real sense, is no more. It really hasn't been for a while, but nevertheless, in this case, it's absorbed by, really Skydance. And we keep calling it Paramount because that's the legacy name, so they're using it, but Skydance is in charge. So that's how that goes. So anyway, there you have it. Your live kind of sort of visit with Mr. Nailsin. And I don't know what I'll do for the Sunday comics show. Maybe if I just read like one 8-page story, because I missed the Wednesday show. So I could do the review of comics I read, or at least some of them anyway, on the Sunday show. That might be something I could do. I don't know. I still got to put something together for the podcast. I've got this night episode, but it's not really finished. And I'm very tired. So it might just be a collection of Nailsin news type thing. And go with that. That's not be it. That's not be it. So anyway, have a good rest of your day. Me, I gotta do a few more little items and then go to bed because I have to go to work. But in the meantime, one thing I did take care of is I booked my flight and my room for Las Vegas next month, where I'll be at Hackamania. That's Patrick Melton's shindig. Pat Dixon will be there. Anthony Cumia will be there. And all that kind of stuff. And amazingly enough, I'll be there as well. So how about that, you know? Yeah. Never been to Vegas, you know? But it's the first time for everything. Anyway, have a good rest of your day again. Thank you for watching. And let me check. No super tips. Oh, boy. Well, they're not there at all. They're not so super, you know? Oh, well, anyway, I tried. So, have a good, yeah, I already said all that. Thanks for watching. We'll do it again very soon. Have a good one.
Hollywood good, to Billy Witch, they would. There's no debating. All that's left is the Nailsin reign. The first feast from the corpse of the beast. Only after the feel of the vulture.